Drug addict Nicholas Nick Clark wakes up in an abandoned church where he slept after taking drugs. Nick is looking for his girlfriend Gloria in a room that seems to be abandoned. Ahead, he hears a man screaming. Discouraged by the blood splattered on the walls, Nicholas finds a corpse with a severed neck. Nick then finds Gloria, who bites the dead man's face. When Clark calls her, she turns around and starts chasing him. Nick escapes from the church and runs out onto the road, where he is immediately hit by a car. As passersby approach to help Nick, the camera turns to show Los Angeles, full of everyday life in a pre-apocalyptic world. Madison Clark is going to work, and her daughter Alicia is not in a hurry and is sitting in the bathroom. Madison's fiancé, Travis Manawa, answers the phone and tells her that the hospital called and that Nick was hit by a car. Madison, Travis, and Alicia arrive at the hospital to see the young man. A man is brought to the bed next to Nick. At this point, he is questioned by officers who want to know why he fled, and say that when he was found, Nick was raving about seeing blood and entrails in the church. Madison enters the room and orders the investigators to leave, to which they agree. Travis gets a call from his ex-wife Lisa, who asks him if he can take his son Chris with him for the weekend, despite the fact that the young man himself does not want to be with his father. Travis returns to the room and meets Madison. She says that she needs to find a rehabilitation facility where Nick is not known, and that she has a college consultation today. Travis offers to leave Nick with him and says that Madison should hurry. In the car with Alicia, Madison assures her that Nick will be fine. They arrive at the school, and Madison meets the principal Art Costa, who informs her that many students did not come because of a new illness. Student Tobias goes through the metal detectors and they are triggered. Madison checks his pockets and takes him to her office, where he pulls out a knife. Clark threatens to expel him, but Tobias begs not to expel him, stating that he is safer with the gun. When Madison asks what this means, he explains that the new disease that is spreading is something else, and that the infected are attacking other people and eating them, and that the disease will spread. Madison doesn't believe him and tells Tobias to stop reading fake news articles on the internet. Then she escorts him out. At the hospital, Nick wakes up from a nightmare, and it is noticed by Travis, who decides to ask him what really happened at the church. Nicholas tells Travis that he saw Gloria eating people at church and how she chased him, causing him to be run over by a car. Travis assumes that it was a drug-induced hallucination, but Nick insists that this is not the case. That evening, Travis goes to the church to check Nick's statements. The building seems to be abandoned, with traces of the former residence of drug addicts. While he is exploring the room, a man jumps out at Travis, screaming in fear and begging not to kill him, and then he runs away. Travis shouts after him and tries to follow him. When he reaches the main room, he slips and falls to the floor, revealing a pool of blood and pieces of flesh. Startled, he immediately leaves the building. The next morning, Travis and Alicia return to the hospital. Manava informs Madison about what he saw at the church last night. She dismisses his concerns, concluding that this is a drug den and that bad things are happening there. Madison and Alicia are leaving for school. Later, over the football field, Alicia and her boyfriend Matt hug and plan to meet at the beach later in the evening. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Nick expresses concern about an elderly patient in the bed next to him. But the nurse visiting Nick assures him that the man is fine and gives Nick a potty. He asks her to untie at least one strap that binds him, to which she agrees. As soon as she leaves to give him some privacy, Nicholas tries to free himself. But at the same time, the elderly patient next to him becomes ill. The emergency team tries to resuscitate him, but they fail, and the man is carried down to the morgue. In the confusion, Nick manages to untie himself and escape from the hospital. Madison and Travis return there and discover that Nick is missing. They try to ask the nurse where he is, but she is too busy making phone calls to help, and instead tells Madison to report Nick's disappearance to the police. Travis then takes Madison to the church where Nick was staying. After that, Madison and Travis visit Nick's friend Kelvin. They ask him if he knows where Nick is. He replies that he can't tell them, but offers to make some calls to see if anyone else knows where her son might be. Friends, mini pause. Activity on the channel is dropping, so I really need you. Pause this video, put a like and write any comment. This will allow my video to get into YouTube recommendations. Thank you and enjoy your continued viewing. In the late afternoon, Alicia comes to the beach to meet Matt, but he does not come, and she leaves there in disappointment. When Madison and Travis drive home on the highway, they get stuck in traffic. They witness helicopters flying over their heads and police cars passing nearby, which arrive at the scene of what Travis believes is a routine accident. Ahead, they see plumes of smoke from a wrecked car, an ambulance, and several police cars. They hear several gunshots, and Travis insists that they leave immediately, and they take another road home. The next day, even more students are missing from school. In the staff lounge, employees, including Travis and Madison, crowd around a tablet computer playing leaked footage of the incident on the freeway last night. The footage was shot from one of the helicopters, and it shows how the supposedly deceased man bites a lifeguard who is nursing him on a gurney. The police beat the man with batons until he could not stand up, and after that the police shoot the man several times in the chest, and he falls to his knees, and then gets up again. Travis and Madison leave the room, and she tells him to call the police to help find Nick. In class, Alicia and two friends watch videos on their smartphones and see that the man falls only when he is shot in the head. They are arguing whether the footage is real. Principal Costa announces that it will be a shortened day and that students can go home. Madison picks up Alicia, informing her that people are concerned about the shooting that occurred on the road. She tells Alicia to take the bus home. Outside, Madison spots Tobias on the bus. She smiles at him, but he looks away with a grim expression on his face. Meanwhile, Nick meets Kelvin, whom he had previously called, wanting to know if the drugs he bought from him were spiked with anything, as a potential explanation for what he saw at the church. Nick breaks down, and Kelvin is offended by his accusations, but offers to help him. Later, they drive to the river, and the dealer gets out of the car, after which he takes something out of the trunk. He opens the door to Nick, who sees the gun in Kelvin's pocket. He tries to grab his gun, which starts a fight. After a brief struggle, the gun discharges, and Kelvin is shot in the stomach, quickly bleeds out and dies, and a stunned Nick runs away from the scene. Madison and Travis find Nick after he calls the second one. He tells them that he knows where Kelvin is lying, but when they return to the scene, he is no longer there. The three of them get into Travis' car to leave, but when they return back through the tunnel, Travis and Madison see Kelvin's figure behind them, now converted, his clothes soaked with blood from his wound. Travis and Madison get out of the car and approach Kelvin, concerned about his well-being, but he tries to aggressively attack them. But Nick gets behind the wheel of the car, turns her around and runs over Kelvin. To their surprise, Kelvin is apparently still alive and gets to his feet with a bloody face and a broken arm. Nick knocks Kelvin down again, crashing into the hood of the car before slamming on the brakes, sending him crashing onto the concrete of the river bottom. Madison and Travis rush to the bottom of the river, where they find a severely mutilated Kelvin, still alive and holding out his hand to them. Madison asks what's going on, to which Travis claims he has no idea.